Final prediction video for Deontay Wilder versus BERMANE STIVERNE. After doing quite a few interviews for the countdown to BERMANE STIVERNE versus Deontay Wilder, I felt it was important because of the magnitude of this fight, the WBC Heavyweight Championship on the line, the implications of the fight, and the lack of media coverage for this fight up till the press conference and fight week has been little or none in terms of BERMANE STIVERNE and Deontay Wilder. So what I did, I took this opportunity to interview former fighters or sparring partners, Jason Gavin and Owen Beck, to hear their opinions of what it was like to be in the ring with Deontay Wilder. And in Owen Beck's situation, he has actually fought Deontay, sparred with Deontay, and sparred with BERMANE STIVERNE. Spoke to George Foreman, Chris Bird, Don Charles, even been in spoken to Stiverne, and the most recent interview at 3 AM Vegas time, spoke to Don House to hear his final opinions after the weigh-in. And there's a host of other interviews as well. So you say, okay, so you've heard the opinions of the experts. What's your opinion? Well, I think when you hear interviews over and over and over again, and you hear the same reoccurring things being said, you start to build a picture, and it's a picture that's not media or hype or propaganda sort of made up. It's things that are, and there's some things that are visible and some things that you're going to have to just trust on the night. That being said, this fight for me is not a 50-50 fight. I don't believe it is, and here are the reasons why I don't think it's a 50-50 fight. Based on the information I've received via the interviews. It's not just me getting on a camera and speaking down a camera my opinions. I'm basing my opinions based on what the experts, people who've been in the ring with Deontay Wilder and BERMANE STIVERNE, have had to say. And one of the common things I see in boxing, especially on YouTube, is people making opinions and saying, oh, this is a 50-50 fight, and kind of getting themselves in a position, well, okay, if they lose the fight, if somebody loses a fight, then I've covered my back because I actually said that the other person could win. No, I'm not saying that. I'm going straight out on this and saying it as I see it, based on what I've been told. And also, people say, they're boxing experts. I think to be an expert, or to even be somebody who believes they know something about something, I believe you've got to put it on the line. You've got to put it on the line regardless of the hype. You need to be able to see through the hype or see through the stories and be able to come up with a reasonable idea. We were talking heavyweight boxing, and one punch can change things. But based on those things, based on those facts, we've talked about the height and reach. Wilder being the taller guy, 6'7", BERMANE 6'2". The reach is 83 inches for Wilder to 80 for Stiverne. These are the facts. These are not things that we make up. At the weigh, BERMANE weighed, I think it's 240 pounds, something like that, 240, and Deontay came in at 219. So yeah, I think around that weight anyway, 219. And that was pretty light when I saw him on the scales, but he's probably looking for speed, movement. Fair enough. And BERMANE comes in similar fighting weight as he usually does. So both guys saying they're going to come to fight. Both guys saying they're going to knock one another's heads off. So we know what we're looking at is a come forward brawl. People go back to talking about Stiverne fighting off the ropes against Areola. BERMANE explained twice in 2 fights why he fought Areola. Somebody put on my Twitter page that BERMANE didn't adapt his tactics for the second fight of Areola. Well, why would you? You beat him the first time, why would you adapt the tactics for the second time? So Areola, you sit on the ropes. Areola, you come in and you can catch him on the counter, as BERMANE showed. I don't believe that's going to be tactics for this fight. As for Deontay Wilder, what do we know? He's got that big right hand. But there is a lie about his knockout ratio. They say 32 fights, 32 knockouts. Not actually true. You look closer at the record, Owen Beck came in with little or no time to train and went 4 rounds with Deontay and quit on his stool. Also, you have to say to yourself, Jason Gavin he came in and he said he had 2 weeks notice before to fight Deontay. He went 4 rounds and quit on his stool. These guys were not laid out flat like Lajkovic was not laid out flat. And Lajkovic backed up against the ropes, and Deontay had all the time in the world to lay up that left jab and get the big right hand in. The question is Stiverne going to stay on those ropes? If he's able to do, if Deontay can do that, then surely he's got a chance in the fight. The visualization people are seeing is Deontay coming out and throwing bombs and knocking Stiverne over. And sure, if you watch a guy doing that over and over and over and over and over again, in your mind it's imprinted. But you haven't seen Deontay being backed up. You saw Gavin try to back him up. You saw Pychek try to back him up. And those guys have backed him up. And if you look at even Gavin, you go Owen Beck, the left jab. When they throw the left jab, Deontay's been uncomfortable with that. We don't know if Deontay's got an inside game. We don't even know if Deontay knows how to judge range with a fighter that's on him. We don't know how Deontay reacts to a big punch. We don't even know if he can adapt his game. Had Deontay had a left jab based on like a Klitschko left jab, a Ramrod left jab, if he had one like Lennox Lewis, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, a George Foreman jab, which controlled distance and range, then we could see this. I could see this fight being more of a 50-50 fight. But based on the facts that have not come from my mouth, but have come from people that have been in the game, people have watched Deontay get hit on the chin and get knocked over. Based on the fact that go and look for that Harold Sconia's fight. Where's that on YouTube? It's gone missing. Why is that gone missing? Because that gives us a deeper indication of where Deontay is. The other thing is, and we look at the Demetrius King fight where BERMANE got stopped. He was on his feet and it was a premature stoppage. Most people in boxing see that. So if you take that fight away, you look at BERMANE STIVERNE, an unbeaten fighter. The other thing you have to look into this fight as well is that Deontay Wilder has been dropped by guys of a lesser ability than BERMANE STIVERNE, and those guys don't hit as hard as BERMANE STIVERNE. Adaptability and game plan. Stiverne has shown he can adapt his game plan. He says he likes fighting bigger guys. We can go back to the amateur days and look at what he did with bigger guys, Price and Helenius. Deontay's got it all to prove. He's got it all to prove in this fight. He's got to win this fight. If he's going to win this fight, if his chin is less than solid, he gets knocked out. He gets knocked out. Simple. If he's got no inside game, again he gets knocked out. If you can control the range, control the distance, use the jab, keep BERMANE on the outside of that jab, on the outside of the jab and the right hand, fine. He stands a good chance to cause a victory and become heavyweight champion of the world. But can he do that? If BERMANE moves towards the right hand rather than wait, it moves towards the right hand and allows Deontay to punch, which Deontay will come out flying with punches. If Deontay decides to come and throw punches, I believe that's the time that BERMANE will throw punches. I believe BERMANE will stay off the ropes. He will take the fight to Deontay, back him to the ropes, and then land on the inside. Look for the overhand right and the left hook. And I believe that BERMANE will stand right in front of Deontay Wilder. And we don't know what Deontay Wilder fights like on the back foot. Judging from what many have seen, from the sparring sessions with even David Haye, you saw that there. And Deontay, when he does come forward, he does throw his punches from wide angles, and if you throw him from wide angles, the straight punches are the ones that are going to catch you before you get wide punches in. So based on that, I actually don't see this being a 50-50 fight. The punching power might be slightly exaggerated based on the fact of what I've brought to you with Owen Beck and see other guys named Jason Gavin. Two examples of guys that did not get knocked out but stood on their stool. If that punch power does not knock out Beck and does not knock out Gavin, both guys who were not in shape for the fight, if those two guys didn't get knocked out but have been knocked out in previous fights, and then you've got Stiverne, who has not actually technically been knocked out. I don't look at that fight against Demetrius King. That's a premature stoppage, and the dimensions are very different. I believe Stiverne's amateur pedigree plus his professional game, and he's more the professional fighter, has the better boxing skills, abilities, better defense, better boxing IQ. I'm going with the guy who's grounded, and I believe BERMANE wins this fight inside 3. I believe the occasion will get to Deontay. I do believe that he will be super hyped for this fight. And I believe with all those people ringing in his ears, and he's going to come out to fight, and he's going to come out to put a heck of a fight up, I believe. But when the right hand, the overhand right or the left hook connects, it might just take one shot, not a combination. It might just take one shot for this fight to be over. Deontay may even be ahead in this fight, but I believe that it'll be one shot that ends this fight. And I don't believe that Deontay is going to be one delivering that punch, but I believe Deontay is going to be under the end of that punch. So I'm going for a knockout inside the 3 rounds. If it's the war that is expected, both guys coming forward, I believe so. If Deontay Wilder has doubts about his chin, I believe then you may see Deontay try and box off the back foot, use the jab and keep distance. The question is, he hasn't done it against the lower level opposition because he's bombed everybody out. So now he's going to have to execute a game plan against a guy that's coming at him. And if he's got any question marks about his chin, Deontay knows that. You can say what you want to the public, but you know what happened in the Hal Sconius fight. You know what's happened in sparring. So it's fight time. Put it this way. If Deontay Wilder does win this fight, I'm looking in the camera and I'm looking and I'm talking this message to Deontay Wilder. Deontay, you win this fight, fine. You are the heavyweight champion of the world, and I take away the things that I've said, because at the end of the day, my criticism of you has been because you haven't fought the level of opponents necessary. And I think you've had a padded record. I said this before. I know you don't particularly like what I've said. I've just been truthful. I'm not going to be one of these guys that are going to say one thing in front of your face and say something behind your back. At the moment, I don't think that you've had the fights necessary. But if you do pull off the victory against Stiverne, you're the man. And I'll say, you know what? All the best in your reign as heavyweight champion of the world. I just don't see it that way. I believe BERMANE is the better fighter, the better boxer, the better all-round fighter. And I think BERMANE wins this by a stunning knockout inside the distance. As quick as 3, because I think Deontay makes too many mistakes. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys out there think. There are going to be a lot of people out there not going to like what I've got to say. There are a lot of people that are going to say, oh, Deontay's going to win just based on the fact that I've watched all these fights and he's knocked everybody out. But I said, go back and watch the fight against Owen Beck. Go back and watch the fight against Jason Gavin. And these two guys didn't get knocked out. These guys quit in the stool. If Deontay's right hand, if Deontay's power doesn't work for him, can he box to a game plan and not get hit on the chin? That's the question. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the build-up, the countdown to BERMANE STIVERNE versus Deontay Wilder. This is BaylorIC TV, and I'm out. Take care.